Decided to talk some Cowboys to go along with the review of Michael by me and my siblings. So I apologize. This is a little late for the YouTube crowd getting out, but I wanted to put this in with the audio audience for the podcast. Like I said, there's always going to be a different version of the 0 to 100 podcast going forward for those who watch on YouTube and those who listen to the actual audio podcast. So this weekend Cowboys, I took a look to see what was going on in Cowboys Twitter and see what were some of the subjects that fans were talking about. We've already had the rookie mini camp where the rookies came in and the media got to get their first look at them. The reports coming out where there was a lot of work of Christian Parker working with the linebacker Jayshon Barham from Michigan, as well as Caleb Downs. You got to hear some of the other rookies like Devin Moore, the cornerback from Florida, who I will apologize because at the time, and I remember I was texting my friends, and I think I even said it in the last episode, how I wasn't very high on Devin Moore because of his injury history. He definitely has a history as an injured player, but from all accounts, from the people that actually take the time to break down film and really dig into analyzing the player's skills set, everybody seems to be pretty high on Devin Moore. I mean, but the caveat is always if he's healthy. So the question is going to be is if Devin Moore can stay healthy. Hopefully he will, but hopefully he can be a contributing cornerback to this team. Uh, I don't really look at you like the draft from a standpoint of you have to get starters in every single round. It would be great, but I really just look at it as can you get contributors, especially with the way that the NFL's defenses are played now. You really need depth, and you need you want good players at the top, of course, but a lot of players aren't going to be able to play 100% all the time. And so you need good pieces that come in after them or just solid contributors. So if Devin Moore can be a solid contributor, I would be very happy about that. So look, I wanted to touch a little bit on actually, you know what, before I get to the important dates, the other subject that that I thought was really funny that came about um from this week that I saw a lot of fans talking about was so Caleb Downs was number 2 at Ohio State. The number 2 is a big deal for Ohio State players. All the best players would be assigned the number 2. And so a lot of fans were excited to see Caleb Downs carry that over into the Cowboys with the number 2. Currently, Kobe Durant, the cornerback that they picked up from the Rams, has number 2. And, of course, some fans are like, well, Caleb has to earn the 2. Kobe Durant's not a scrub. He shouldn't just hand it over. Partially because Kobe Durant was wearing number 14 and Marquise Bell currently has number 14. Well, but anyway, before I even get into what that could mean or anything, but the question is, does the player's jersey number even matter? I mean, I think it's a little funny because first Caleb Downs was going to be wearing number 18. Then he said for training camp and he's going to be wearing 13. Point is, it's really all in flux until the actual season starts. But you see some fans like, 18 is trash, 13 is trash. You get him out of that jersey number. Like he needs this, he needs that. I do think it's like, listen, certain jersey numbers are cool, but the jersey numbers are always what makes it cool is depending on the player that it's linked to. Like my favorite number is 22 because of Emmitt Smith, because that's my all-time favorite football player, my all-time favorite Cowboy, even though Michael Irvin has been really battling him for my all-time favorite Cowboy. But numbers like that, like 22 is off limits pretty much. Like the Cowboys don't actually retire jersey numbers, but they do it in like an unofficial way. Like you're not going to see anybody really in 22. 88, they do it because they like carrying on this tradition of great wide receivers, which is why you had Drew Pearson. Well, Drew Pearson was the first original 88. Then you had Michael Irvin. And so after Michael Irvin, they carried it on. Nobody really talks about Antonio Bryant, who also had 88, but that's for good reason because Antonio Bryant never lived up to the hype of having 88. But then, Dez Bryant and now CD Lamb. So they have these unofficial jersey numbers like 12, which is Roger Staubach. Nobody's gonna wear that. And then they have 8, which is Troy Aikman. And so it's just like those seem to be the only ones, like 8, 22, and 12 seems to be the only ones that nobody actually touches in terms of jersey number for the Cowboys. I get Aikman and Staubach. I sort of get Emmett, but I think it would be cool if another running back would get 22, especially if you wanted to carry on. But anyway, like Zeke didn't want to wear 22. But anyway, point is, does the jersey number actually matter? To me, it doesn't. It's not that big a deal to me. Like if the Cowboys drafted a running back and they gave him 22, I wouldn't be like, oh, what are you doing? You can't do that. It's like I just have to. The key is the player. If Caleb Downs puts on 13 and he goes out there and beasts it and balls out, and you see him truly excel, you're not going to care what his jersey number is. I'm like, that's to me. It's kind of funny seeing how much fans are getting upset about it because I don't really care. And plus, it's in flux because Kobe Durant, like I said, he only doesn't have 14 because of Marquise Bell. Currently, Marquise Bell is on the team, but I don't know if Marquise Bell is going to be still on the team. The Cowboys have a pretty loaded safety room now with Caleb Downs and Jalen Thompson and TJ Boy, who they got from the Broncos. And then you still have Malik Hooker. Then you also have Elijah Clark, the undrafted safety from Syracuse last year, who everybody knows because of the hustle play he made in the comeback versus the Eagles. So Marquise Bell, who got in a little bit of trouble this offseason and was like 3 coordinators removed now. Maybe Christian Parker doesn't like Marquise Bell like that, and then he's off the team, and then Kobe Durant can get 14 if he wants. So it's all up in the air and subjective, but I don't think it's that big a deal. The other topic that I wanted to talk about that I saw a lot of Cowboys fans going about this week was the cornerback slash safety Kenny Moore from the Colts was released. And I know it was speculated beforehand the teams might try to trade for him. The Colts released him. It's not because he's bad. It's more so because he's looking for a deal or a contract, and I don't think the Colts wanted to pay him. He's a very good, solid nickel corner that also, plays some safety. And so the question was like, oh, do the Cowboys need Kenny Moore? And I saw like a lot of fans like, what are the Cowboys doing? They need to kick the tires on him or they need to bring him in here. I'm honestly cool if they pass on Kenny Moore. It is funny because typically whenever there's a really good player that's out there in the market, I'm always of a mindset that the Cowboys need to go after him because they could use him and let's stack good players. And so if you just want to add a good player, I'm not against it. Like if the Cowboys actually did it, I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, what are you doing? Like, I'm like, no, that's a good player. It's just from a standpoint of what they've actually done. I feel really good about how they've addressed the nickel spot. Like Caleb Downs is going to play a lot of nickel. Jalen Thompson, before they got Caleb Downs, is also probably going to play a lot of nickel and safety. And so, and then also when push comes to shove, like people forget where DaRon Bland first cut his teeth in the NFL, which was playing the nickel corner before he moved outside. I still think DaRon Bland is a good cornerback. I know a lot of fans seem to be down on DaRon Bland. He hasn't been healthy the last couple seasons with the foot. I'm hoping that a lot of what we saw last season where he had one truly rough game versus Arizona, and he also didn't play all the games last year because of his foot. So I'm hoping he comes back healthy. I think if he does come back healthy, DaRon Bland will show that he still is a solid, potential all-pro corner. Because again, let's not forget, this is the guy that is the pick six king and has the record for most interceptions returned for a touchdown. So I still think he's there. I still think DaRon Bland is a solid corner and, can be a potential all-pro again. I'm like, is that homer of me to or overly optimistic Cowboys fan? Yeah, but the point is with Caleb Downs, Jalen Thompson, And if push came to shove, Deron Bland, because he could move inside, and maybe they do want to use him there. I'm pretty certain they want to keep him on the outside. Like him and Kobe Durant are going to be starting outside corners. But you don't, who knows? Especially they just have so many pieces. Like training camp is going to be fun because they've done so much to overturn the Cowboys defense and the secondary. Like Vash Lombardi did a really great exercise where he looked at the 2025 Cowboys depth chart, and it's like there was only like 3 returning players from from the starters, which is Deron Bland, Malik Hooker, and Kenny Clark. And so that's massive turnover. And so it's going to be fun to see in training camp how Christian Parker actually uses the players that he has. So the last thing that I wanted to get on was some important dates to highlight for the Cowboys coming up, and what that means. So the first important date is the 14th of May. It's the NFL schedule release. Uh, if anybody remembers last year, I did a schedule release show with Teddy, Greg, and my one friend Sierra, and we went through the Cowboys schedule and we tried to rank the difficulty of game, like what games were going to be the most difficult that were on the Cowboys schedule, and we went from easiest games all the way down to the most difficult game. And it is funny though that the one game that we had picked that was going to be the easiest game was the second game versus the Giants, partially because the Cowboys own the Giants, and we just figured, oh, the game might not even mean anything or matter. Like the Cowboys might even play their starters or whatever. It's funny, they actually didn't play their starters for the entirety of that game, but it was really because the Cowboys were already long eliminated along with the Giants. But losing that game allowed the Cowboys to be the 12th pick in the draft and move up one spot to get Caleb Downs. So while some people were like, oh, Dak's streak versus the Giants was broken, I don't really care because it got us Caleb Downs. And also what the Giants did got us Caleb Downs. Oh, you know what? In fact, before I even move on with the rest of these dates, that reminds me, the cool thing, there was a very excellent mini documentary that ESPN put out called The Pick Is In. And I did want to highlight this one part which showed how the Cowboys were able to get Caleb Downs, which was so cool. One, they needed the Giants to pass on Caleb Downs twice, which thankfully they did because they took Arvell Reese because he fell into their laps. But then the second pick at 10, and that was the one where a lot of people didn't think Caleb Downs would even get to the Cowboys because chances of the Giants passing on him twice were slim. I do think that the Giants wanted to go offensive player, defensive player in the draft, but I think the order got mixed up when Arvell Reese fell to him. And so there was this really cool video of the Cowboys trying to move up ahead of the Giants. And the Browns really helped the Cowboys out here, and I'll explain why after I share this clip that was taken from the Pick Is In.
Saints, and then the Browns will select next.
Maybe Dallas has asked if they need interest in what.
Yeah, Will text me too. I told him it's on who's there and it depends on the price.
They want to come up to 9.
Just say, what about? They're 24. So 9 and 24 for 12 and 20. Asking just to cogitate on it.
They want to do 9 and 24 for 12 and 20, which is light on all dimensions.
Oh, there it is.
New Orleans has submitted its pick. Cleveland is on the clock.
Tyson. Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. You get a tackle.
New Orleans Saints select Jordan Tyson, wide receiver, Arizona State.
They're on the clock.
They're on the clock. I offered their 9 and 24 for 12 and 20.
And say, what else would you want?
Next caller.
Yeah.
Is this Andrew?
Yeah.
Hey, this is Steven. Are y'all going to pick away here?
We are. We wouldn't do the swap of the first round.
Okay, if we threw in a 5, would that change it?
No, that wouldn't really move for us.
Doesn't move the needle. Okay. Appreciate
I
you.
appreciate you, though.
All right.
All right. That's a lot.
I keep hearing Cleveland wants an offensive lineman, and they're worried New York's gonna take it. They don't want to get behind the Giants.
That's right. All right. Hey, Ayers, this was your orange dot, buddy. What's it like about Spencer Puff?
This is the really cool part.
Tackle in this entire draft. This kid's rare combination of athleticism, quickness, strength, and his ability to excel on pass protection is truly something special. I think he's an excellent run blocker. He's pretty, he's tough, he's rangy, and most important thing, like this is the best person in the entire draft. This is one of the highest character guys I've done in the 10 years I've been on the road. This guy fits us.
Browns pick Fano.
Exactly what they wanted. They just picked up an extra third and an extra fifth.
So what was cool about that, and that was it was showing that the Cowboys were trying to move up to 9, and they were only offering like one of their fifths to move up 3 spots. Like, or actually, they wanted to give them 12 and 20 for I think it was 9 and 24, and then they wanted to move up. They was going to throw in an extra fifth to try to move up, and of course the Browns didn't want that. But the cool part was where the Browns took Fano, and that helped the Cowboys, because I think that at no point in time did the Giants want Fano. Like, the Browns were saying that we got the best tackle in the draft. Most people felt like Maanoa, the tackle from Miami, was better and was the best tackle in the draft. And so because they took Fano, it kind of forced the Giants' hand, because now Maanoa, who I do think they had every intention on taking at 5, was there for them at 10. And because Arvell reached for that, so it like that was what was so cool about it, and it just allowed the Cowboys to be able to jump up. And there's a really cool clip too. Like, I recommend you to watch The Pick Is In anyway, just because it's fun. Like, if you go on ESPN, and if you have ESPN Plus, you can watch The Pick Is In, and it was really entertaining to see, especially like seeing the different trades that the Cowboys pulled off in that first round, like the trade up with the Dolphins and the trade back with the Eagles. Which let me talk on that real quick. I just went to my barber, and he's I live in Philly, so I went to my barber, and he's an Eagles fan, knows I'm a big time Cowboys fan, and he was just like, "Yeah, thank y'all for hooking us up and getting the best wide receiver in the draft," and which is arguable. Some people would say that some people felt like Mekhi Lemon was the best. Some people thought it was Jordan Tyson. Some people thought it was Cardinal Tate. I'm not overly concerned about Mekhi Lemon, to be honest. One, because it just takes rookies wide receivers a second to get their footing, even if they don't. And the Cowboys have done this before. Like, Devontae Smith is a good wide receiver, but I would take Michael Parsons over Devontae Smith, and I think like that's proven out, which is what happened. Like, the Eagles were able to get Devontae Smith, the Cowboys got Michael Parsons. I'm not saying Malachi Lawrence is going to be Michael Parsons. That's not what I'm saying here, so calm down. But I do think it just worked out for both of them. So I just wanted to include that little thing in my reaction to that, which I thought was cool. But yeah, the important dates, like I said, was the schedule release. I'm definitely going to do a show again where we try to rank what the Cowboys easiest game to their toughest game is going to be. Hopefully the instructions will be much more clear this time around when my friends join me, and we can get through it rather easily. But also, I'm looking forward to see what the schedule release videos are. Like, those have become a big deal. The Cowboys, I felt like, had done a decent job in it with it for the most part. Like, they always do something creative. The funny one to me was where they had like Taylor Sheridan. Like, they started doing skits, I would say, because before it wasn't. Like, sometimes it's just a little simple thing, but the ones that I thought were good were skits. The best one was the one where they had Post Malone come in and do like a rap video with Jerry Jones. Like, that was the best one. The one with Stephen A. Smith I thought was kind of funny, even though I hate Stephen A. Smith for a multitude of reasons. But we'll see what they do. The next important dates are in June. So you have June 1st through the 2nd, June 8th and 9th, and June 11th. These are mandatory OTAs. So the things that were going on, like they had voluntary workouts for a lot of players. So some of those players came. People were making a big deal because Pickens wasn't there, but I was like, it's voluntary. And also he hadn't signed the franchise tag yet, so he couldn't come to those. But these are mandatory. Now, if Pickens doesn't come to these, now you could be, I mean, I'm not overly concerned because it's just OTAs. It's not mini camp or training camp, which is the more important things. So it could be he might not show because he doesn't want to play on the franchise tag. But for some reason, I think he will be there. And I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal anyway. The next important date is June 16th through 18th. These are mandatory mini camps. Again, I think Pickens will be there, but it's just like a little ramp up period before they get to the training camp. The training camp is going to be later in July, like July and August, which leads into preseason is when there's training camp. But then the last super important date I wanted to highlight is June 15th. That's the deadline for franchise tag players to sign contract extensions. Some people think that Pickens, an extension for Pickens isn't completely out of the realm, even though Stephen Jones had came out and said that they weren't going to do a contract extension for George Pickens, which had a lot of people think, oh, this is going to be drama all year long and Pickens is going to be disgruntled and this is going to be terrible. I actually don't think it is. I will say this. I would be shocked if Pickens signs a long-term deal before this period. If it happens, that's even better. I would be thrilled. But I do think he's actually going to play on the franchise tag and make $27.3 million, or I think it's 27.5 or whatever for this year. And depending on what he does this year, I think Pickens is going to get a long-term deal. Like, I'm hoping it's with the Cowboys. I actually do still think it is going to be the Cowboys, believe it or not. But if not, then it's going to be for some other team that the Cowboys probably will trade him to and get something back for it compensation-wise. Because the reality is the Cowboys can franchise tag him again where the tag number is 30. And, that way, if they couldn't work out a long-term deal at that point, then they would probably trade him. But it all depends on how Pickens handles the situation. And, it came out that his agents were putting out feelers trying to get what his market would be, and they really didn't get any takers, which is why he ended up signing the franchise tag. But I think he loves playing for Dallas. I think he likes playing with Dak and CD, and we'll see what he does. It only benefits him to repeat what he did the year before, which was an all-pro season. So either way, I definitely think Pickens is going to be here, and that's great news for the offense. And definitely want to, like, we spent so much time talking about the Cowboys defense this offseason. The offense has kind of been like ignored a little bit, and I do think there is some things that they could have done on the offensive side of the ball to improve it. I'll get into that in some future episodes, especially as training camp gets closer. So that's gonna do it for this week in Cowboys. It went a little bit longer than I intended, but listen, when you get me start talking about Cowboys, I can literally go a full hour. So only narrowing it down to 20 something minutes or so is pretty good for me. So this is, again, going to be included in the audio version of the latest episode, which is the review of the Michael movie. But I'm also going to be putting this up here on YouTube, as you can see. So thanks for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this segment. This is the 0 to 100 podcast.